Good afternoon, everyone. It is 3 o'clock, and the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education regularly monthly meeting will now come to order. Ms. Peggy Pesterfield is going to lead us in a moment of silence and a Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, please bow your head for our moment of silence. Okay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Pesterfield. Before we get started, I want to take the opportunity to welcome our Councilman Tom Cassidy. Welcome. Want to also read a couple items before we get started with our regular agenda item. The Cleveland City Schools Board of Education is committed to providing a high-quality education to all students and to working collaboratively with the community to achieve this goal. As chairman of the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education, I'm committed to running an orderly and efficient meeting and treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided equal voice for all matters, and board members should communicate through the Director of Schools for addressing his staff. Here are some reminders for parents and community members. Board of Education policies can be found on the clevelandschools.org website. When there, click District, Board of Directors, and select Board Policies. Our meetings are not public forums. However, the board has made accommodations for a city resident, Cleveland City Schools employee, or a parent guardian of a Cleveland City Schools student to address the board via a couple ways. School board policy outlines this in 1.404. Those two options available: appearing before the board via pre-meeting requests and addressing the board on agenda items via same-day requests. Board members, is there anything on the public consent agenda that we'd like removed? On the consent agenda, anything? All right, I'd like to entertain a motion for accepting the consent agenda as provided. Call the vote.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Ms. Wheeler, will you also confirm if we had any public comments?
We do not. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda, we have our regular agenda, and we'll start with the director's update.
Good afternoon, everyone. And so as we start this 1st of June, I have a director's update to reflect on the end of our school year. We ended on a strong note, a good end of the year, a lot of activities happening in our schools, so I'll share just briefly a little bit about that. Several arts events were going on in our area and our schools. We had the CMS Spring Band Concert. CHS had a great turnout at the Artorama right before graduation season. The CMS musical had several great showings over at CMS Theater with the Olympians, elementary choir performances, so a great spring events with a lot of arts programs going on. Of course, we were all there at the CHS graduation, and a great event, a 2-hour event to honor a lot of students in different ways, over 400 graduates there and their families, and just a tremendous night of celebration. Staff Development Day, we redeemed one of our stockpile days that we still had at the end of the school year for preparations for the 2025-26 school year. There at the end of the school year, we had teachers and staff meeting around curriculum, enrollment, HR updates, and many other items, but it was, I think, a day well worth coming together and getting some work done prior to the summer break. End of the year programs continued with awards, 5th grade send-offs across all our elementary schools, and kindergarten events, special events for families to come together. On May 19th, the TOSS has been conducting some legislative bill reviews after the legislative session closed, and as we know that there are several of those bills that we will be closely working on and preparing updates to policies coming up at our August board meeting, and so we are looking at the legislation and studying those. Mr. Kaiser and I had the opportunity to attend that TOSS meeting to go review those and start working with our staff and working with you guys this summer to update those policies around those legislative updates. May 22nd, the operations team hosted a great lunch for our board. Great time over at our CCS annex, and I appreciate Hal Taylor and the operations team for preparing that for us. Later in May, at the end of May, we closed out with our special call meeting last week with a focus on the strategic plan and discussed that for 2025 to 2030. We'll be looking at that one more time today during our meeting, but we had a good discussion about that and also continued to discuss options for future facilities as we move forward. May the 27th through 29th last week, we blocked off our time for our admin team to have an in-house retreat and really focus and hammer down on things that we need to work on during the summer and prepare for next school year. Covered a lot of different topics, and it was a time well spent for our admin team as we look together, from academics to HR to other areas such as behavior planning. We did a one-day focused on Tier 2 behavior supports and programs. And then on May 29th over here, we had over 100 teachers involved in a one-day conference to focus on trauma-informed issues related to the classroom, and that was here in this room. Also, we utilized our other meeting rooms, so it was a great conference day there. Today marked the first day of our summer camps held across our campuses at Yates and Ross, and also at Cleveland Middle School. Yates is housing our early grades, and then Ross is highlighting our 4th and 5th grade students over there, where the middle school is hosting 6th through 8th grade, and we also have a group over at the high school gathering for summer programs. So we're looking forward to that over the next 4 weeks, hosting our camps through June the 26th. In May, we had a lot of activities, so just a few here in pictures of some of the activities going on around our schools. In the top left was a walk to school day, where many students and families gathered to walk to Blythe Bower for a mile. And we gathered there. I enjoyed that morning there on our way to Blythe Bower back at the 1st of May. Also, you see we had some fun days out there at all our schools as we come to the end. Field day, there's a picture of Yates and their field day, but we had those across all the campuses. The picture with the students on the stage at Cleveland Middle School was one of the examples of a end of the year 5th grade send-off. Ross hosted theirs over at Cleveland Middle School. We also released information that we had 4 of our elementary schools that were named Capturing Kids' Hearts Showcase Schools, National Showcase Schools. That's Arnold, Stewart, Mayfield, and Candies Creek. We were proud to be able to announce that and celebrate that. Even in the left bottom corner, you can see Arnold schools celebrating Capturing Kids' Hearts there. 2 schools were added to our list as we continue to grow our schools in being STEM and STEAM designated. George R. Stewart was recognized by the Tennessee State Department and TSIN as a Tennessee STEM school designated school for the next 5 years, and along with Mayfield as a STEAM school. Included with that is the arts programs as well over at Mayfield, and we were proud of that recognition for those 2 elementary schools. The upper right picture is a picture of a student and employees from Cleveland State, Mr. Stevens there, as we recognize some of our RBA students who this year we were able to partner with them and with our welding program at Cleveland High School in order to get them some early hours towards their credentialing for welding in the future, and we were glad to be able to launch that for our RBA students this year. And then the bottom right corner is the play, the musical over at Cleveland Middle School that we mentioned earlier called the Olympians. And that's the update that I have for this month.
All right, board members, do you have any questions for Dr. Elliott? All right, before we move to the next agenda item, I wanted to take the time to welcome Mr. Warbett Lowry. He's the president of the local chapter for NAACP. Welcome. Next on the agenda, we have a spotlight.
Yes, our spotlight today is to recognize our retirees for this year. And I've asked Mr. Kaiser to come up and make that presentation, and then we'll share a certificate with them. And at the end of that time, we'll make sure we get a good picture up here in the front with our board here.
You may notice that a few people came in here smiling a little bit larger than other folks. I don't know if it had anything to do with their retirement or not. But we do want to recognize 5 teachers today for their service to Cleveland City Schools. Some of them are here, some of them are not, but we want to acknowledge all of them for their service and their time with Cleveland City Schools. And we are going to begin with Miss Jenna Loveday, who has served as a school psychologist for Cleveland City Schools. I'm not going to tell you how long, but if you're good in math, she started in 1993. So congratulations, Miss Loveday. Don't believe our next retiree is with us, but Miss Karen Denton was a elementary teacher at Blythebauer Elementary School and began with Cleveland City Schools in 2015. So we want to congratulate Miss Denton. Miss Ashley Mayer is with us today. She was a Cleveland Middle School math teacher, and she started her career in Cleveland City Schools in 1998. Our next teacher, our next retiree, is Miss Judy Bianucci. She is a special education teacher at E.L. Ross Elementary, and she began her career in Cleveland City Schools in 2006. And our last retiree that we're honoring today is Miss Rhonda Phillips. She is an elementary teacher at Yates Primary School. She began in 2006 as well. So congratulations to our 3 retirees that are here. Thank you for coming back. And I think she wants to grab a picture of you.
All right, next on the agenda, we have first reading of policies. Who's going to do that? Is it Renee or Jody? All right, Ms. Riggins is going to lead us through those.
Okay. The majority of these are just updates and some very simple corrections. 1.407 is a policy we updated with Mr. Kaiser's title and with an address change from the Mouse Creek AOB to this building on Raider Drive. It's way at the bottom. There you go. Any questions or concerns? Okay. 1.802 was updated with a similar address change, just a change from Mouse Creek to Raider Drive. I think you missed it. No, there it is. Okay. 6.503, there was a correction on page 2, line 33. It said school or origin. It should have been school of origin, and we're just making that change. Any questions? Okay. 6.505, page 2, line 12. Same thing. School of origin. Okay. 6.600. This correction is also on page 2, line 14. Right there, it was, we need to put of between B and interest, B of interest. That's all that was. And then 2.200, now this is a local update and sort of clarification of timeline on the operational budget. So this was a local change that was made. It was reviewed by TSBA and approved by them. Do we have any questions on that? Any questions, any concerns? Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Riggins. Board members, we have first reading of policies presented. I'd like to entertain a motion for those policies, those being 1.407, 1802, 6503, 6505, 6600, and 2200. All right, we have a second? We have the first and the second. Ms. Passerfield, second. Call the vote, please.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield.
Yes.
Jody Riggins.
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Renee Diamond.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the strategic plan focus.
All right, this month our focus is on school nutrition, and Kathy Berry is coming to present that update for us today.
Good afternoon. I have a few updates for you from school nutrition. You can see we served a little over 522,000 breakfasts and 686,000 lunches this past year, all at no cost to the student because we are still part of the community eligibility provision. We have 3 more years of that. In our after-school supper program, a little over 16,000 meals, and those are served to students who participate in programs like YMCA, tutoring, and some even our sports teams participate in that. Our fresh fruit and veggie program has continued to be available for all of our elementary schools as well. And they get 3 times a week, they get an extra veggie snack during the day. It's a great way to try to introduce kids to foods they haven't tried. So they're all excited about doing that. And our next action step was to provide surveys to the community. We've already done students, we did faculty, and this year were our community surveys. And so they went out and we got some great feedback, and we asked questions like, what school does your child attend? Because that helps us understand the answer that they gave us. And does your child eat lunch at school? What do they like? What do they not like? And what do you as a parent or guardian not like? And what are your questions or concerns? And so the feedback we got, of course, they like the pizza and the chicken nuggets, of course. The rolls, of course, the fresh fruits and vegetables. And they also like the variety and the freedom to choose, because we actually offer something called offer versus serve, which means we don't just hand them a plate, we let them choose what they want. And so that was a big deal for them. Parents like the free meals, of course. Who doesn't? In this time that we're in, it's really, really beneficial to our parents to be able to offer that. The varied fruit and veggie options, we offer hot and cold veggies every day, and then lots of different kinds of fruit. Kid-friendly foods like the chicken nuggets and the pizza, and again, that they are offered choices. And they did have some concerns, and valid concerns. Better alternatives for breakfast and more hot breakfast options, which we are addressing this year. We have revamped our breakfast menu. Portion sizes too small, which in my response document I did explain we get our guidelines from the USDA, and that's mostly an issue at the high school level because you have especially your athletes that need more serving sizes, but we have to go by the USDA guidelines. And then more scratch-made food, and I did address that in our document as well, that we are limited by time constraints, labor and cost and things like that, but I did list out several items that we do actually make from scratch. If you've never tried our meatloaf, you need to, because it's very good. Student interaction and participation, again, we had a great turnout this year with some of our parent meals, Thanksgiving, Christmas meals. Always have a good turnout for those, and our managers do such a great job, as you can see, with offering some desserts and sides that are specific to those holidays. And so they did a great job with that this year. And our National School Lunch Week theme this year was School Lunch Pirates. So we had a lot of our kids dress up. Mayfield actually let them have Dress Like a Pirate Day. So that's the picture at the bottom where the students got to dress up like a pirate. And of course, a lot of our cafeteria staff did as well. They had their cafeterias decorated, and it was a fun time. We had a lot of fun with that one. Some equipment updates. We are spending down some of our fund balance that we have. So we've purchased ice machines for 3 different schools. And the big one is that we're getting a new commodity freezer for the high school because it finally went down after all these years. So we have that in process right now. And we also are getting new computers, which is a big deal for us because our computers are very, very old. And we use those for our managers' offices and also as our cash registers in all of our cafeterias. And then just a quick update for the RFP for the food service management contract. It did expire this year, or it's expiring this month actually. And an RFP went out in April. All the proposals have come in. They came in last week. We have 3 vendors that have submitted proposals, and those will be opened and scored tomorrow. And then pending approval, that new contract will start on July 1 for the middle school and high school. And then there's where you can find us on social media. Any questions? Yes.
Are we going to have free lunches next year?
Yes, ma'am. We have 3 more years left of the community eligibility provision, so breakfast and lunch at no cost for all students for the next 3 years. Thank goodness, unless something changes in legislation, which we know how that goes, but we're all hoping it's not going to. Great, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Berry.
All right, next on the agenda, we have the AI technology update.
For this update, I've asked Dr. Raper to come and share with us, our Director of Innovation and Technology. He shared an update with me and to bring that to you guys today, so I've asked him to relay this information during this time.
Good afternoon, Board. AI is both a buzzword and a daily reality, and to that end, the Tennessee legislature passed a law requiring yearly updates to the board, and you all adopted Board Policy 4.214 that does just that. And so the way this process works, each June, me or whoever Dr. Elliott designates would provide an update on AI to the board, and then we have to report that back to the state by July 1. So following this board meeting, I will get that reported out. Some things we're doing around training and professional development for our teachers. We offer beginning of year training for all of our teachers, and this typically focuses on policy and procedure. So what things are you allowed to enter into artificial intelligence? What are proper uses of artificial intelligence? How can you use it in your classroom? And then what tools do we actually allow you to use? And I'll get into that in a second. For students, we spend a designated day as part of our Digital Safety Week training students on the appropriate use of artificial intelligence. From, I don't know about kindergarten, but lower grades all the way up through college, artificial intelligence is becoming a problem in schools with students cheating. And so what we want to do, because Pandora's box is open, we're not shoving it back in that box, is train students on using it appropriately and the appropriate use of artificial intelligence in schools. And it's actually been pretty cool to see some of the things our teachers have done this year with artificial intelligence. So besides those more policy appropriate use things, we do training on ways to beef up the classroom using artificial intelligence to both be a better digital assistant for the teacher, so getting things done faster, getting things done more efficiently. Our demands on our teachers' time is increasing, and so helping them be able to use artificial intelligence in a meaningful and purposeful way to help them with administrative type tasks, but then also using it for help in developing classroom lessons, and we've seen great success in that. Through Mobile Mind, which is our professional development platform that teachers can learn asynchronously on, we have artificial intelligence units that they've taken there. And we've also offered in-person synchronous classes where teachers have been able to learn about the cutting edge and how to use different programs. In this memo, you will see a current list of approved AI programs, which includes OpenAI and ChatGPT, which can be used without an account, grades K through 8, and then with an account, grades 9 through 12, and then by all staff. Google Gemini is only allowed to be used by staff. That is a Google directive of how they do their terms of use. And then what we're really pushing is Magic School, and I'll get on to that in just a second. But then Canva and Kami both have AI built in. Those are tools that our students and teachers use daily. And what we're really seeing is that more and more, whether it's true AI or not, the companies are shoving the word AI into everything. And so more and more of the tools that we use every day are coming out with AI tools. And so those are having to be vetted and added to our list if they're appropriate in order to maintain compliance with both board policy and administrative procedure. So Cleveland City Schools invested in Magic School, and it's been a great tool for teachers. So all teachers and all staff have access to this. And it is it's a tool that we're providing for them. We're providing the account. We are able to track and monitor what happens in there. And then teachers can do everything from helping to write responses to emails to actually helping create lesson plans. And by no means is the AI replacing the teacher. The AI is a tool for the well-educated and well-trained teacher to use to help make things a little bit more efficient. And so Magic School does things like if we accidentally forget and put a student name into something that's submitted, it's going to redact it and then give a quick, hey, remember not to do this in the future. And so we do have some safeguards built into Magic School. And so that's one of the reasons we're really pushing people toward that. The other cool thing about it is it creates Magic School rooms for students that the teachers control. So they open that up when it's appropriate. The students can utilize the AI in a safe environment, and then the teacher can see and control everything that's happening there from the student perspective. And so this was an investment, a monetary investment, but it's really paid off. And out of all the things I think I've ever rolled out in the 15 years of working for Cleveland City Schools, I've never gotten so many emails saying thank you for this tool as I have for Magic School. It's been a real great tool and resource for our teachers. So with that being said, we plan to continue similar things the upcoming school year. So continuing the training on AI and policy, both in person and asynchronous learning, and then continuing to review all the tools that come in to make sure that they meet our rigorous standards for use in the classroom and by our staff and teachers. Any questions?
I have a couple of comments.
Sure.
I would urge you to also look into Google Notebook LM. It's a fantastic tool that really only utilizes the resources that you upload. So rather than just anything on the web, it's contained to what a teacher might upload or what a teacher might have a student upload.
So just really quick on that note, that is covered under our Google for
Great.
Education policy for staff. And Michael just released a Notebook LM to all administrators. What'd you call it? PowerSchool Buddy? Or PowerSchool Ninja. And he uploaded all the PowerSchool docs, both the ones that have been created by PowerSchool and the ones we've done internally, to say, hey, if you need something, ask Notebook LM. It's going to actually go through and search it for you and provide you a response based just on the data that we provided it.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, I know at Lee, we are already working with our pre-service teachers on how to use AI effectively to do things, like you say, lesson planning, great ideas, and also what are not ethical uses. So for sure, that's important. And I guess the last comment I would say is this really does pair well with STEM initiatives. Like, I've had to be very creative because even though I tell my students ethical ways, sometimes, things happen. So really having project-based assessments, it's forced me to have more authentic problem-based assessments, and I think that's a good thing for our students. So our STEM initiative really pairs nicely with this. Yeah. So thank you for all your work in this. I know it's hard to wrangle all that in, and thank you again for being proactive on that.
Thank you, Dr. Raper.
That's very kind. Thank you.
Does a great job.
Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll move on to the next agenda item. And this is a voting item, and this is the report on the strategic plan.
Okay, Board. Last week we gathered at our special call meeting to discuss the different components of the strategic plan, and I know you guys have had that. So we have some final copies at your table there to look at, a summary report, which is the summary report of our 2025-2030 plan, and then a detailed strategic plan copy as well that gets into more information. But beginning last fall, we started discussing the components that led to the mission and vision and led to the areas related to this strategic plan that we're talking about, with the focus on the 4 core areas that we look at here, and our shield represents student academic success, supporting students and their families, highly effective employees, and a clear culture of communication. And so this is what the strategic plan is built around, with our goals and our action steps for the next 5 years. During our process, we had subcommittees, we had public forums, we sent out a survey, we've had times for feedback, and then we spent the last couple of months pulling all that together to compile this information here today. So you have the highlighted format and the detailed strategic plan. And so after your review of this over the last few days and weeks, just pose, do you have any questions before we take a look at that and vote on that?
Can you highlight those 2 modifications since our meeting last week?
Yes. Let's see here. One was on communications related to that. And so within the full document, we made that update related to the branding on the exterior components, as we discussed. Let me make sure I get the right page of that. As you look through the communications section, starting on page 28, page 29, the second action step, design and install Cleveland City School logo signage prominently on the exterior of all schools. Estimated, we got an estimation on that around 30,000. We added that into the action plan. Our goal was to have this accomplished in the fall of 2026. So that was the first one. And then the other one was around chronic absenteeism. And we highlighted that. If we go back into the student support section, at the very beginning of that section, let me get to the right page and I'll tell you guys. Page 11. Number 3 of our key performance indicators as we look each year. We took a look at how that would graduate and bring that percentage down over time. So over the next 5 years, we look at decreasing that by 1.5 percentage points so that our goal is to bring that down to be below the state average. And so by 2029, 2030, our goal is 17%. So we added that into the plan as well. So those are the 2 key components, and you can see that on your highlighted plan in those sections as well. Any other questions?
Yes. Is this? Are you expecting this to kick off in August?
Yeah, we will start the process of our plan, our LEA plan, our local education plan, our TISA funding plan, and this plan would tie together. And so we would kick that off as we move forward into the beginning of the school year. We've communicated the draft format through different venues to our staff, but we will continue to communicate that out and then kick that off as we move into the new school year.
And then the follow-up question is, can we get a closing report from the last strategic plan so we know where we landed?
Okay, we can work on that plan and put that together, yes. So my proposal is that I propose that the board adopt these plans, the summary report and the full detailed strategic plan for 2025-2030 strategic plan for Cleveland City Schools.
Board members, we have a strategic plan for 2025 through 2030 that is scheduled to kick off in August 2025. I'd like to entertain a motion for the plan as presented.
So moved.
Peggy and Carolyn. Call to vote, please.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matthew Coleman,
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is facilities update.
Okay, the facilities update is an update around our communication as we work with our city council, and a follow-up on that today as we continue to look at options related to our future growth and also related to the capacity in our schools and the vision that we have working together in our city. So the first one is a motion a few weeks ago at City Council. City Council approached us with and voted on us to form an ad hoc committee. An ad hoc committee consisting of 2 at-large City Council members along with the mayor, and also with 3 school board members along with Joe Favas and me working together on that committee. But in order to do that, as we move forward, we'd like to go ahead and keep that process moving in a timely fashion, and the goal of that ad hoc committee would be to come together to look at property and consider land as we move forward and talk about future sites for schools. And in order to keep that moving forward, I come with a motion that we utilize our facilities committee made up of 3 members, Andy Lay, Matthew Coleman, and Peggy Pesterfield, to serve on that ad hoc committee with our city council partners there as we continue to move forward in this progress as we work towards looking at property and identifying what's suitable for the construction of future school facilities. So that is my first motion that I bring on the facilities update today.
Board members, we have a recommendation from Director of Schools, Dr. Jeff Elliott, to use our facilities committee members to be on this ad hoc committee that collaborates with City Council. Before we entertain a motion, I want to make sure that facility members are okay serving in this capacity. All right, I'd like to entertain a motion to move forward with what's been presented.
I make a motion.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a first and a second. I'd like to call the vote, please.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. The second of the 3 updates I wanted to bring is as we work together with the city, I know that we've had conversations on as we work with the ad hoc committee and have the discussions to be prepared to discuss with our city council partners of a realtor that could help us out. And I know that Brian Wortman has worked closely with our city partners, along with, in recent days, discussing that with Hal Taylor and our team here. So we'd like to bring that recommendation that we approach Brian Wortman to be considered as a realtor partner for us as we work together with the ad hoc and committee and talking with our city council members on that team. So as we go through the summer and work on that, wanted to bring that today as a proposal as well so that we can continue moving forward through this process.
Board members, we have a recommendation to use Brian Workman as a realtor partner for the work that's going to be done to acquire land. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to use Brian Workman as
Okay.
a realtor.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a first and a second. Call the vote.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman,
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And the third component is a resolution that I would like to propose for us to look at. Shared with you this a few days ago as we were preparing for this meeting to take a look at. And this is a resolution to share with our city council, but also to the public, of our intent to partner and work closely with the city council on this process that we call finding land and looking at the future and the building schools. And so we have a resolution there, and I can read that during that time. I think it would be good that I share that with you guys at this time. So bear with me as I share. The Cleveland City Schools Board of Education, a resolution to construct 2 elementary schools and to partner closely with the City of Cleveland for acquiring funding. Whereas the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education recognizes the growth and increasing enrollment across the district, which has resulted in multiple school sites with capacity limitations. For example, shared classroom space by multiple teachers, utilization of common spaces for instructional services, and off-campus pre-K programs. Whereas on April 11th, 2025, the Board of Education voted to plan for the construction of 2 new elementary schools to address these capacity needs and to provide adequate space for academic instruction, intervention, support services, and additional pre-K programs for students. Whereas the construction of 2 new elementary schools is critical to ensuring the Cleveland City Schools continues to deliver high-quality education in safe, effective, and developmentally appropriate learning communities for all students. Whereas the board understands that the timely construction of these facilities will require a significant financial investment and that funding such a project will necessitate a municipal tax increase for city residents. Whereas the board is committed to working in full partnership with the Cleveland City Council to secure the necessary funding and to identify appropriate locations for these new school facilities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education affirms its intent to move forward with plans to construct 2 new elementary schools and formally request collaboration with the Cleveland City Council to establish a funding mechanism, including consideration of a property tax increase in order to meet the critical infrastructure needs of the school district. Be it further resolved that the board expresses its appreciation for the City Council's willingness to explore land acquisition and funding solutions and looks forward to a continued partnership that supports the educational success and future growth of the Cleveland community. And then it goes on to say it would be adopted today on June the 2nd. And pending an approval of this, then I would take this definitely and share this with all our city council members of our intent to partner closely with them and to work alongside them.
Thank you, Dr. Allett. But before we entertain this as a motion, can we get that sent over to Cody real quick?
Yeah.
Dr. Raper, and then we'll put it on the screen so board members can have time to look at it real quick, even though they've received it previously. But there may be some things that have come to mind before we vote on this. So
We'll get that up there, and then I'll be happy if there's a statement or question.
while we're working on that, board members, if any of you have to take a step out for the restroom, that now would be the perfect time. Or coffee or whatever.
Give us just a moment there.
Board members, you should see the resolution on your screens now.
There we go.
Mr. Coleman, you need more time? Ms. Ingram, do you need more time? Good. Everybody's good, so, all right, so we have this, we have this resolution presented to us, and are there any questions or comments you want to make about this resolution?
I have a couple. Maybe a couple of recommendations, a couple of questions. First, my understanding is the audience to this is the city council. I would like to edit the title a bit, rather than starting with a resolution to construct 2 elementary schools, because I think we've already done that, to revise the title to something like resolution to move that partner with the city of Cleveland for acquiring funding to construct 2 elementary schools. I think it sends the message that what this resolution is about is the actual partnership rather than the constructing with an add-on.
Say that again. I can work on that right now.
So basically, take to partner with the city of Cleveland for acquiring school funding to the beginning of that statement,
Yes.
and then adding
There you go.
to, yeah.
Is the title change that you see there acceptable?
It's on there now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that.
And I also, so as I was reading this, the word partnership stands out to me. And so I think about, what does a partnership mean? So it is the committing of both parties, stakeholders, of time, energy, resources, skills, talents. I would like to see, and Dr. Elliott, you may already have some ideas for this, but I don't know if it necessarily needs to be in the resolution, perhaps. But what are some of the things that we are actually planning to do as our part of the partnership?
Yeah. One of those things that I see is, first of all, the collaborative planning is a key piece of that we're working together and communicating that out closely with the Cleveland City Council to identify the property and making plans for that and working together. So that's an important piece, is that collaboration through the process, and try to work through and setting that tone and having open dialogue in recent months, and want to continue doing that as we move forward. Another important piece, I think I would say, is transparent communication. That communication comes not only one-on-one from board to council, but communication as we work together, communicating that out to the public. When you're talking about tax increases, that's not a favorable topic in a lot of ways, but we want to make sure we're communicating that clearly and working together on that. So I think that's an important piece, is the communication partnership that we work together on. And then just casting that shared vision that we have for a school and for the schools for the future in the city of Cleveland, and how that can enhance the future success of this community, and also for our students, and also a strong foundation, I think, for where we're headed in our schools, but also in our community. It's a quality of life that we talk about, and it will be very important as we move forward to continue to cast that vision for the quality of life in our city, and how schools can be a center piece of that project. So these are ways I think working together and being a partner with the schools or with the city council is important.
One of my favorite words is collaborate. It's co-labor. So when we think about the labor on our end, what are some of the deliverables that you see on our end? Like, what's our labor part of that?
Our labor is, again, the message that we share with our staff is an important piece of that. Our staff is critical in the delivery of what they do each and every day in our school system. So being informed on the impact it has, and then also delivering that message also to our community and the impact that it has as far as the product that Cleveland City Schools can offer and will continue to offer is an important piece of that as far as on our end. So again, working and sharing what we do and how we're going to continue to do that and do it to the best of our ability is an important piece of that. And also hearing and listening to where the city council is coming from is an important piece of communication. So I think the important piece is that continuing to build that relationship between our board and myself and our city council is an important piece. And so having that open communication is important too.
Ms. Diamond, did that satisfy your changes? Or any questions?
I still have a couple of questions, but I'm happy to defer to
Okay.
Ms. Pasterfield.
No, I just want to say it's important for us to work with the city as far as the location, of our schools, because they know where the growth is, and what it's going to be like 15 years from now or 5 years from now. So I think, that's when you talk about communication, you were including that, weren't you, Renee?
Oh, absolutely,
Right.
yeah.
I think it's very important.
I get a sense that we've been communicating kind of in silos, and I'd really like to see perhaps Brandy working with city council to make sure that our communication is synced, timely, planned strategically. And, you mentioned, Dr. Elliott, like hearing and listening to the council. I've reached out to each council member and spoken to a little over half, well, yes, over half. And I think that they are eager to partner with us, but, of course, it's our plan, it's our responsibility to make sure that we have a vision, but not just a vision, but the action steps, the metrics around that. So things that they would like us to partner with them about, which I think is altogether appropriate. We talk about our stakeholders. I know you've met with all of the principals. I've had a couple of administrators call me and ask, what can I do? I think that we need to do more than just say, hey, talk to the people you know. I think it would be important for us to proactively reach out to our constituents as a body or as individual members. I think, there's power in the collective for us to do that, but to reach out to our stakeholders and let them see that, this is a necessary step in the future of our community, and not just the 3 cents that would go to schools, 2-3 cents, whatever it is, but the whole plan is about improving our community, and just the livability of our community. We don't want to just have schools, but we want to have a happy, healthy, functioning community. So how do we, rather than shove a tax increase down people at this particular time when, the economy is bad, how do we let them see that this is an investment in all of our future and not just schools? But schools are a major part of that. Also, I think that, our vision of what the schools are going to look like is important. I think the community responds better when they can visualize what we're talking about. So are there any drawings or, renderings of what those buildings might look like? And then finally, I think what I've heard from them is that the financial stewardship is important. We want to be good stewards of the taxpayers' investments. So how do we make sure that we capitalize our projects on things that we already know work well. We came in under budget on Candies Creek. I think it's been a success, other than maybe like being a little more visionary on the front end, but you can never anticipate, I guess, enrollment. But I'd like to see a plan of action with a visionary element, but also with the action plans that we need to present to the council. Our ad hoc committee, I think, is a fantastic idea, and I know that they would appreciate for our committee, our members of the committee, to do the work and look to them for feedback rather than for them to do the work and look to us for feedback. So I would like us to be very proactive moving forward. We have a lot to do in just a short amount of time. So I would encourage us to put a communication plan together, a business plan together with relative specs on what those properties might look like.
Is that good? All right, anybody else?
I want to say one more thing. I think that the public and the city council probably knows this. We don't have a lot of choice when it comes to building a school when your numbers are high. You have to, because the state tells you how many students you can have in each class and in the school. So, if it gets really high and Cleveland continues to grow, and everything I read about Cleveland says Cleveland is going to continue to grow, we have to have enough room to provide for those students that we're responsible for.
Dr. Ellett, do you want to respond to anything?
I agree with what you're saying here, and I will say that you mentioned Candies Creek, Cherokee, and I think that's a good starting point for us to discuss with our committee. And as we gather together to look at those, we had a successful experience with that. We've had a good flow over there, and the product was a really nice school facility. And so I definitely think that's a good starting point for us to look at and pull those plans out and say the pros and cons of that as we get started. So I just wanted to piggyback on what you had said there. Yeah.
Any other comments? All right. So we have this resolution that's been provided. It's been read. The text has been changed in the area of the title. So I'd like to entertain a motion as the resolution has been changed and presented on your screen. All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
So we have a first and a second. I'm going to call the vote.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
Jody Riggins,
Yes.
Nate Tucker,
Yes.
Renee Diamond,
Yes.
Matt Coleman, Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the legislative updates. Ms. Ingram, do we have any legislative updates that you want to share with us?
I think Dr. Elliott is going to speak to what the meeting that he attended recently. But I do want to, I think we all are aware of our school law conference. I believe it's July the 17th through the 19th in Gatlinburg. So I don't know how many are planning to go, but it's a will be well attended, I feel. And we always get a lot of good ideas.
Thank you.
Sometimes it scares us.
Thank you. Dr. Ellett?
Yeah, I just wanted to give an update regarding that. I mentioned that earlier. A couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to attend a TOS meeting with superintendents to review a lot of the legislative updates. There are several this year that came through, as you all were watching in the spring. And with that, that gives us a summer of work to do to make sure we're covering all those bases regarding those legislative updates with our administrative team and with you to make sure those policies are updated correctly, and we will bring those to you as we begin a new school year, as we update those. I will say that we have been, Cleveland Middle School and Cleveland High School administrators had a meeting about a month ago with Bradley County Schools and their administrators looking at the communication devices and electronic communication devices. You know, that was one of the legislative policies that said that would not be allowed during the school day. And so we're working closely and formulating our procedures and expectations for limiting those devices during the school day, moving into the 2025-2026 school year. Our goal is to have those procedures updated during the summer and bring those to show you, but then also to communicate that out to our public over the summer so that everybody is notified well in advance before the first day of school this year, because there will be changes, because we do want to make sure that we get that one squared away right off the bat and have that communicated out. So stay tuned, but we are working closely with Bradley County Schools to coordinate our efforts between all our schools, especially our middle school and high school, working together on that. So that's the update I have for legislative updates.
Board members, do you have any questions regarding legislative updates? All right. Well, this meeting is our last meeting before August. As you know, we don't have any regularly scheduled meetings for the month of July. And so with that in mind, it is 4 o'clock, and I would like to consider this meeting adjourned unless anyone's opposed. Speak now, forever hold your peace. Meeting adjourned.